Good evening, Nancy.
Hello.
And good morning, Cocoy. Good morning to everybody watching on the live stream and watching on the replay. We have a special guest, chef turned director, and we wanted to know the story of Cocoy Ventura, who's here with us today, and he'll share with you his story and his latest project, streaming live in Isabela, and
Wow, wow.
Nancy, the Adobo Queen, streaming live in Houston, Texas. My name is Anton Diaz, founder of Our Awesome Planet, and we're awesome live with Cocoy Ventura. Can you do a short introduction?
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. And good evening, Nancy.
Now
Yes.
it's your turn to be in front of the camera, not
Yeah.
behind. Ginoong Kokoy.
Yes. Can you do a short introduction for our audience and how you got started and what you're doing now?
Hello, everybody. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Anton. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the warm welcome. And greetings from Isabela province. Currently, I'm in my office in San Mateo, Isabela. And this is actually my space so that whenever I entertain friends and clients, they don't have to come home with me in our house because of COVID. My parents are staying with me, and that's one way of keeping them safe. Well, not to mention that we do all the drinking here and all the eating. So, yeah, and thank you for having me. And this is such a pleasure of inviting me to be part of this program. Thank you.
So
Yes. Yeah. How did you get started? You're a chef now?
first you were a
Well,
chef and then you
post
shifted
9/11,
to
back in
film.
well, my stint becoming making the films. I don't do this alone, but I've kind of organized the people here in Isabela, particularly in
Okay.
my town called San Mateo, and I gather them because during pandemic, a lot of them are my friends, and when the pandemic came and actually stopped everything, these friends of mine that are videographers, they lost their livelihood as well because there's no weddings, there are no birthdays, there's nothing to cover. So I just came to it was just an idea in the beginning. I was invited to make a short cooking demo for Pistahan Festival in San Francisco to record something, some sort of a cooking, video. And so I decided to organize the team and to produce, a short movie instead of just a cooking show. So I thought would step it up further, and it yielded a very good result at the very beginning. So we decided to move on forward and reorganize the groups here in my town. And so I have different groups that I've been working on to produce projects with. And this caught the eye of some of my friends in the States. And a lot of them have, offered seed money for us to continue on producing
Good.
and making films, something about food and nostalgia of Philippine cuisine. So I think at this point, we do have that kind of market. And I think it's very good, especially for people that are outside Philippines, to kind of remind them of how it was like growing up in the countryside, and also the simplicity of food. That Filipino food is perfectly fine, and there's nothing wrong with it, however simple it may be or however rustic it may be. Maybe yes, sorry,
Why are you
I
in
could go on and on.
Isabela? Why are you in Isabela?
Well, in 2014 or 15, I decided to come home for good from the Bay Area. So other than that, my parents retired, like a couple years before that, and came back home here in Isabela. This is where I actually grew up. We left the province. Myself and my parents, my siblings were already in these states. They were born there. Um, so when I was 14, we left for the U.S. And I was gone for 23, 24 years. So I studied in New York and worked in the Bay Area and parts of the U.S. And after so many years, I kind of decided it's time for me to come home. And I mean, once you feel that your activities are getting recycled and your ideas are getting recycled, and if you don't see any growth going forward, then it was time to move on. And plus, I kind of wanted to be with my parents because they're on their later part of their lives, and they're
Yeah.
seniors. So I wanted to make sure that they're okay. And you know how it is in the Philippines,
Yeah.
when you come home, people would think that
So
you have
you're
everything in the world.
you
And
you
yeah.
you're managing a farm. What kind of farm?
Um, Here in Isabela, we pretty much grow rice and corn. But our farm, it's an integrated farm. We have a mango farm in here as well. My dad planted, like the mangoes. These are the sweet Elena varietals from Zambales, and
Oh wow.
they grow pretty well. So it's about 400 of them. And
Mm.
after 20 years, we came back, and they've been producing so far. And we used, before the Asians, the African swine flu, we used to raise hogs as well. We had chickens, ducks, and poultry, and all sorts. So when the African swine flu came in with COVID, all our hogs died, of course, 100 plus of them. So we kind of, we needed to recalibrate our provincial life as we speak. So that's why I kind of verged into filmmaking. Uh, so yeah.
All right.
Good.
All right. So to give context for people watching, let's watch a few short clips, and then maybe you can tell us the story afterward. So we have a few clips here,
Okay.
and then tell us the story. Okay, this is the first one.
Sure. Okay.
Very nice. That's coconut oil, right? Coconut oil.
Yeah. So what's the story of that, Kokoy?
What's the story?
Was it shown?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
you
I
did.
didn't see the video, but
We saw beauty is a
okay.
way to love.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Beauty is a
What
way to
what what
love.
was the? Can you describe the scene real quick? Just brief one, so I'm gonna.
Um, they were
Okay.
massaging their
Yeah.
hair with coconut
This is
oil.
a campaign for a beauty product. Yeah, this is a cosmetic company, Demois Cosmetics, by Demi Koch, based in Zurich, in Switzerland. And
Oh,
Wow.
she's a Cebuana, and she started this cosmetic company using clean ingredients and formulated using Swiss technology, but using natural ingredients from the Philippines. So
correct.
that's why
Nice.
she tapped to us on us to create a series of campaigns, short campaigns for social media. So for this one, it's just three generations of ladies, a mom, a younger mom, and a little girl, just bonding, in the countryside, putting coconut oil on their hair is something that a lot of people can relate to, especially here. So it's simple, it's raw, yet at the same time, it is something that it's the touch, the human touch. I think that's more important here,
All right.
and the
Okay. We'll
relations
watch
with
the
people.
second video. All right. I love that video, the first one. This is the second video.
Hello, thank you.
Oh. So that's a second video. Same company.
Are you
We
showing it
cannot see
live?
it.
Yes. We showed it live. So maybe it's not showing on your end. Nancy, can you describe it na lang?
A lady
Okay.
smelling flowers.
Um, I cannot see the video for some reason.
She was
Oh,
smelling
okay.
flowers.
Okay.
Conscious
Okay.
beauty.
Sure. Sure. Thank you. Oh yes. So this lady, her name is Marivi Manuel. Actually, when I was in high school here in Isabela. Yes. And yes. So this is another campaign for Demois Cosmetics, and this is essentially this is Marivi Manuel. Is a good friend. I went to high school with her. She's 2 years senior, and we used to be part of a band. I played the keyboards, and she was the vocalist.
Ah.
And when I came home, we kind of like reconnected. A lot of us actually reconnected. So whenever I had little gigs like this, I make sure I involve them. So it was such a hoot. So all I had to tell her, just be careful where you smell. There might be bees, there might be ants, So and I make her. That's actually just outside our house. Our house is and our house is surrounded with rice fields, and and
Nice.
I have a lot of plants and trees, so it makes it an ideal shooting spot. And plus, food is more
Yeah.
accessible. So with behind the shooting, we've been eating a lot. So,
All right. All right. We'll show the third video, Kokoy. But maybe you cannot see the video on your end. Nancy will describe it and then just caption it. All right. This is the third video.
okay, sure.
Cascading waterfalls. Waterfall.
Yes. So this was taken in. Yeah, this was shot in the Seven Falls in southern Cotabato. Actually, this was actually part of a documentary produced by Sonia Dellen. She's based in San Francisco. She's also one of our sponsors, and a lot of she has been helping us quite a bit on a lot of our productions as well, among many producers that's been working with us. So she's also part of the Demois company, actually one of the investors. So we made some extra shots. So we have a new set. Actually, this hasn't been shown in Switzerland yet. So this is actually the new installment. They come in sets. So this is one of the South Cotabato set. So actually, the model there is actually a young lady, which is the daughter of one of my editors and camera person. So yeah, That was a hoot.
Right.
That was a great time. We had a
Yeah.
good time.
No,
Even
I
yeah,
love
it's
that.
pretty
Ang
slippery there, but
gagaling.
it's good.
Ganda.
Kokoy.
Okay. The fourth
Thank
video.
you.
We'll play the fourth video. Beautiful,
Salt Lake.
Nancy.
Thank you. This is currently, and a scene is currently in production. Right
Okay.
now, it's off season for salt, so we kind of took a break from shooting. But this is essentially a documentary produced by Lenny DiCarlo. She's based in San Diego, but she's actually an exporter of Philippine sea salt, the artisan kind. And she's
Oh,
the
Oh,
one who
wow.
introduced the buok in the US. And this is the dinosaur eggs. Actually, she's the one responsible for that, of bringing that in the States. And a lot of artisan salts from Pangasinan and other parts of the country. So Philippine salt making is dying. You know, out of you know, only 8% of salt is being produced in the country, and everything else is exported. Is imported from
okay.
Ah.
Beautiful.
Oo, grabe 'no, Nance?
Merong message from Ige.
we were adversely affected by the implementation of the Asin law that was actually approved in the 1990s during Flavier's time of Department of Health. So, going forward from 1990s, people have had a hard time acquiring iodine to actually infuse in what they actually created for salt. And it hasn't been very fair, and it hasn't been very competitive for our farmers. So basically making a rule of adding iodine in the salt, making it as a law and making it illegal for natural salt to be sold. That is, in fact, a very bad issue. I think it has affected adversely the livelihood of a lot of our salt making farmers. And places where, imagine, we have 7,000 plus islands and we're surrounded by seawater. And, you know, what can we do with seawater? We could make a lot of salt, and this could actually help a lot of people now. And so making this documentary hopefully would actually open a lot of eyes of our countrymen. And although this is marketed internationally, just a wake up call, just for every Filipinos. Hey, you know, your livelihood is just right there, and then don't let other countries, so don't let any politicians tell you otherwise, that you can't make a living out of this. Salt is
Yes.
free, and you can make money out of it. So it can help you survive. So
Like,
and in the Philippines, we have hundreds of different sorts of salts,
yes.
depending on where you're coming from, depending on where you are. The Sintibok of Bohol, one of it, the Tultol of the Visayas, of Cebu, and also the patong of Quezon province, and you have all the other salts from Mindanao and Bicol and Zamboanga, and not to mention the northern persuasions like in Ilocandia and Pangasinan, most definitely. So there's a lot of places that make salt, but we don't know anything about it because we would rather buy iodized salt from other countries and supermarkets.
Okay. Next film. Um,
There was no social and cultural impact study and when the salt law was implemented. So yeah, Ige,
yeah.
thank you for watching. Yeah, galing. Good morning also. So we'll show the next
So
video.
Next video.
Tayo sa isang road lang sir. Tayo sa isang road.
Pumapanda kami ah.
Wow, what's that? Kanyao.
That,
What's Kanyao?
ang ganda, Cocoy!
What
So
is
we're
that?
kind
Can you tell us the story? Yeah.
well, we've been, as you can see, we've been all over the country. So now we're actually exploring the Cordillera region with this documentary. This is called Kanyao. It's produced by the New Art Media and also Chicken Coop Productions by Fides Enriquez. She's based in Napa, California. So she's also a good friend. They actually made the Harana documentary from a few years ago, and yeah, I've been involved with them in a lot of projects. This is one of them. Another is Ilocandia, and because of the pandemic, we haven't been able to penetrate, the smaller communities where they actually practice Kanyao right now. So we're waiting on, when the gates are open so that we can actually film properly and safely. Especially, this is going to be the IP territories, and we have to be extra careful. And with that, we need also to make sure that everything is actually approved by the IP Council. So filming, apart from going to places and shooting, there's a lot of paperwork involved, especially when going into an IP domain, such as the Cordilleras, And in the beginning, we wanted to cover like the Kanyao style or the offering or the Thanksgiving celebrations of many locations in Cordillera, but that was kind of impossible. So we're going to concentrate on places that celebrate Kanyao. In other places they have different names for it, but in Kanyao, this is actually the Baloys and also the neighboring tribes, people and tribes community in Baguio area and or southern Benguet, so where they call
Yeah.
it Kanyao. So
Question.
in that video, you saw how kineing is actually. Sorry. Yes, Nancy,
No, sorry.
you have a question.
Were you able to get a safety pass whenever you pass the NPA area in Cordillera?
Well, the NPAs right now, actually, I think we're the NPAs there because we're like we're working as guerrillas sometimes. So, but the NPA militia isn't really felt. If there is any presence, our military force is actually at bay. Um, so we've been very fortunate not to encounter any, and if we did, we work very, I mean, wala hong nadadala sa madaling usapan, sa maayos na usapan. So wala hong
Good.
hindi pagkakaintindihan ng mangyayari pag ganyan. So in our case, we've been very fortunate to be able to go to certain places still, and also with in mind that we cannot travel without getting vaccinated. So it's very important for my team and I to get vaccinated. In the beginning, there's only three of us that's actually fully vaccinated. So it was quite a challenge for us to even travel. So, for example, if we were in South Cotabato, there's only three of us that was fully vaccinated. So instead of bringing in a team of seven, there's only three of us. So, but it's anything is doable. We can make it happen. Yeah,
What
we're Pinoys.
camera were you using? What camera were you using? What camera were you using? What film camera did you use?
We use four different cameras. Um, specifically, and I'll just tell you, we.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you, Nancy. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. What film camera did you use?
Anton,
Yeah.
What
You're coming in and out.
uh, we use several kinds, Anton, depending on the location. If there's a lot of outdoor, we use a lot of Sony, and then we use a lot of Nikon. I mean, my team and I, all of them are actually videographers for weddings and for
Nice.
functions like so. So instead of them selling, because I noticed they were selling their equipment online because there's no job, there's no work. There's no work for them during the pandemic. So I said, you know what, don't do that. We'll do something. We'll use it. We'll make documentaries. We'll make commercials. We'll make
Yeah.
little projects here and there. And I'll pay you in rice and meat and mongo. As a just to get by. But don't sell your equipment. It's their assets. So instead of me
Okay.
buying equipment and camera, we make use of what they have,
Yeah.
and little by
Okay.
little, with the Chicken Coop Productions and the New Art Media, with our little projects here and there, we were able to acquire a drone. We can, we've been acquiring new equipment for editing. So, I mean, that helps a lot, little by little. But the most important thing is when we do a project like this, my team can be rest assured that they have some money coming home. That at
That's
least
that's
one way or the
good.
other,
Good.
we
Okay.
we share the grace.
Okay. Next.
All right. Let's do the next video. Second to the last video.
Okay.
Nalawag mo na yan, nasit isang ranggay. Lumabalin ka sa ating inas. Ipaten kang tuwin, matatong jay tanen. Luham sa matay, sana mabalin ay ipden niya nalagi nagpalumbigan. Tiyan ay siksikan, walang kamatayan. Ipaten kantunwen, ikay ugay tanen. Lungem no'y tansay, sana mabalikan ay ipden saya nalagi ng palumbigan. Tiasangay siksikaw, tinwalang
Applause!
Thank
Applause!
you.
Applause! Kokoy, really beautiful, beautiful.
So can you tell us that story,
th-
yeah?
Thank you. And this was my official first. Sure. This was my very first official short film movie. This was the very first movie that was funded by a producer under, of course, Pacific and Graphic, but the main studio is New Art Media, again with Fides Enriquez. And the music background for this movie was heavily influenced by Florante Aguilar, who's actually a classically trained classical guitarist. He's also based in Napa, husband of Fides Enriquez. So well, she back in when I was in California, she was I actually admired Florante and reached out to him. I was one of his fans. So when the Harana came out in the early thousands, I was asked to translate an Ilocano. I speak Ilocano. To translate the Ilocano part of the movie to English. And some of the songs as well that was sung that needed translation. So I translated that for the Harana movie. So when I was dabbling a little bit on the food movie early on with the little snippets of my own production, Fides really liked it. Well, I'm glad she did, and approached me and asked if I would be interested to make a little project for her. And again, this was when COVID struck, and last year, and we actually started filming. I think this was September, October, and it was heavily raining in this area in the region during Cagayan Valley at that time. And when we reached Ilocos Norte, it was actually such a beautiful, beautiful, province, and we were blessed with a beautiful, weather. So it was the extreme opposites of the Region One and Region Two. Of all the provinces we asked permission to film at, because Ilocandia, we were planning on filming the entirety of the Ilocano-speaking territories, and at this time, it's only Ilocos Norte that granted us filming rights at this point. So we were
Mhm.
very thrilled, and we went right away and traveled there. From Isabela to Ilocos, it was such a scenic and a beautiful drive. So when we get there, we started filming right away. And And during the time, the African swine flu swiped all the pigs in Region 2 in our area. When we got to Ilocos, you know, the swine flu did not reach their area. Therefore, they had pigs, they had longanisas, they had bagnets. So we had a feast because it has been months that we didn't eat pork. So my whole crew and I. So when we were there, that was the first thing we looked for. Give us some longanisa, give us some bagnet.
Woohoo!
So
That's
um,
nice. So Ige was
this was my first try of
yeah. I just wanted to read Ige's comments. That's what I like about Cocoy's film. It's
oh, thank
truthful
you
and
again. That's
authentic.
very sweet of you.
Walang dekorasyon, none of the barrio fiesta, euphoric screaming. It is what it is. Nice. Uh, all right. We'll watch the last video and then we'll continue with our discussion. Wow, you've shot in the Tiboli tribe. Wow. So how was that?
Yes. Well, that was quite an experience, of course, and getting there is part of the challenge. We had to switch to airports at the last minute. So good thing I'm very good at dancing. I could make money in the airport. Just I'm kidding. So especially this was our latest documentary. This is produced by Miss Tonya Dellen and Christopher Fitzsimmons. They're based in San Francisco as well, for the Duyan Productions. So, on top of us making movies, we actually work with several studios, actually interested in documenting stuff from the Philippines. So, in this case, it is with the Tiboli community. So, when you get there for the very first time, you'd be stunned with the colorful culture, with the warm and kind people, really sweet people, and they're, you know. But later on, as days progressed, you would learn one or two things. If you're there as a tourist and you don't really care about anything like social, like stuff, then you'll probably enjoy the colorful culture. But in front of the water lilies, in front of the beautiful regalia and the beaded costumes, there's actually a sinister part. Like for example, the Lumads and also the within the Tiboli tribe ancestral domains, There are very serious issues of land grabbing. I mean, from other parts of the islands. And they would actually enter this area and tell them, hey, we're gonna borrow your land for farming, and when we're done, we're gonna leave it, and we're gonna leave you some money. And of course, they would make them sign something and not explaining what it is. They would put a thumb mark on it, and it's actually a waiver of rights. And this is before the IP rights was given for them to own land, and for so that their land won't be touched by anyone. This is even it predates that. So when that was implemented, the IP law, it's a catching up game with them. So that kind of like changed the entire flavor of our stay there. We learned about that. I felt really really bad. I mean, even the Lake Cebu itself. I mean, tilapia is the main industry there. But if you think about it, that actually ruined the local ecosystem, the groups of fish that actually is endemic there. They're all gone now because tilapia is carnivorous. So all the endemic animals living in the water of Lake Cebu are all gone. They're extinct. And the water lilies are not natural as well. Actually they choke the lake, and they get a lot of fish kill in there, especially when it's warmer. It would suffocate the water. So the little things like that, and you would see a lot of resorts around Lake Cebu, and the none of them are actually owned by any Tibolis. So it's really ironic just to think about it. Yet the Tibolis are trying their best to make a living by showcasing their culture, their dance, their music, and they try their best to preserve it as well. So with this little documentation, we would actually record the day to day. We actually stayed with Miss Lynn Booty and her Gonayabong group. So we stayed with them for a few days and showed us and we recorded the music, their lifestyle, and their day to day living. So it's going to be a series of episodes, on their life. So and all the music here was recorded live by Edgar Sabang. She's actually a very accomplished, a double string guitar artist and also a playing time master. So we were able to meet a lot of the masters, the art masters, in there as well. But then it's clouded with ironies. I mean, the rich versus the poor, the oppressed versus the oppressors. So and also the value of tourists, and how the tourist industry play a part on either promotion or destruction of the lives of the people that live here originally. So I mean, it's a very deep subject, and that's why I like making films like this, because
Mhm.
it does not only offer you the surface, but it actually dig deeper, and we would let you think about it. We would let you, I mean, you see a lot of what's happening in Lake Cebu in South Cotabato. When you see it on film, it's beautiful with the lotus, the boats, the regalia, but there's so much more than that. It's deeper than their lake. So
I think
I mean, 1 week is not enough to be there.
yeah.
Yeah,
you were able
go.
to you were able to show the pain in the words. The words are very whoever you do the copy. Did you do the copy? The wordings are very
Yes,
good. So
I do.
it showed the contrast and the pain of struggling. It was there.
Mhm.
It's very good.
Galing, galing.
Yeah.
All right.
And
Galing.
that's
I'm
just
so
the trailer.
inspired.
Thank you. Yeah,
This is a trade.
thank you so much.
Okay. So we'll go through the some of the photos that you've sent. And let's do a quick
Okay,
captioning, no, Nancy?
Yeah.
Um,
sure.
all right. Maybe just tell a quick story about some of these photos, and then because we really personally, I'm inspired and fascinated with what you're doing. I wanted to do, that's really interesting story. And okay, we'll share the first photo. Can you see it on your end?
Do you see it? Do you see the photo?
Okay. This is from last year. Okay. This is when we had that big flooding here in Region 2 in Cagayan Valley. This is when a lot of the towns, especially up north, bordering Isabela and Cagayan, when they were submerged in rainwater. It rained for like weeks, and our reservoirs and rivers were actually overloaded. And exiting all the rivers actually exits in Cagayan Valley, in Cagayan River, which is concentrated in Cagayan. So a lot of the towns near the rivers actually were submerged and flooded. A lot of crops were ruined. So my friends and I in Manila with Johnny and Christian Valdez and some people from Miss Year Waffles, Thomas Zikot, a lot of international friends who are based in Manila. We gathered up together. I'm on site. I'm here in Sabela. I can do something. So we have a wood stove kitchen in our backyard. I have a lot of the tiliasi or the siliasi, this big vats, and I have some people donate chicken. I was very specific. When you go to a flooded area, it kind of irked me, because when people suffered from flooding, everything is wet and they can't make fire. So you don't give them, like goods that needs to be cooked. I mean, you don't give them rice. You don't give them noodles that still needs to be cooked. You give them something ready and hot. So that's what we did,
Ah,
and we're not
nice.
giving away lugao. We're not giving punch. So I wanted to give them something good. This and it will last long. And we decided to give them adobo and
Of
rice.
course.
Just simple adobo. And I think Nancy, I thought about it. So we made enough for 1,000 people. We actually went to five different towns in Isabela and Cagayan, and also in Marikina. We have a team in Marikina as well. And we got a lot of donations of money, and we bought rice and chicken out of that. And having connections here in Isabela, it was very good because I was able to get quite a lot. So we cooked round the clock every day. And like for one tilyasi like that could actually feed 90 to 100 people. And we didn't
Nice.
pack it in styro box individually. We actually asked them. We made an announcement in each town that we're coming to bring 2 or 3 pots or dishes, so that we do a tackle system. We make them
Kakal.
form a line, and then we ask them how many family members are there, and we would give them more than enough, which will last them for a day or two, even with rice. So we give a tackle system. So in that
Nice.
way, we're not number one, we're not wasting any more money and energy repacking things in styros, which will also not very conducive for a provincial setting. You're just gonna see all the styros scattered around, and giving them straight out hot clean food, and food that
Nice.
they would, I mean, you just went through trauma of losing everything, and then you're given something that you still have to cook. That's kind of like an insult. So when you go there and bring food that are cooked, hot, ready, hopefully it was good. Um, and we brought a lot of candies, because I think that kids, when you give them candies, nothing else matters. I mean, once you hand them a handful of chocolate and candies, look at them smile. And these kids are actually swimming on the flooded fields. So we stopped on the road, and they went there all naked, and we were handing out candies. They were, look, you can't. That's the payment of, and that's actually the payment
Beautiful.
for all the hard work my team and I do. To see these children smile like that, and
Okay.
in all of our things. Okay, so this is of course Alice Waters. This is back in California. When
Wow.
I
Oh,
was working
wow.
in Napa Valley, I got to
Nice.
meet these personalities firsthand. They're not Hollywood actors and actresses, but these are the figures in the
Yes.
culinary world that made some big impact, in the states and the Western world. She actually started this, and of course, this was in Billy Escudero for the Chop movement. This is Nancy. You're there in the picture,
Oh, you're there. Yeah.
and also Reggie with me, right
That's me.
next there, Reggie
I don't
Newport,
even know.
Tolentino. Yeah, actually, Reggie. Actually, I have a story with Reggie and Ian Newport. When they saw my little clips of movies, without hesitation, they sent out funding for us to continue, seed money, and that was the
Nice.
most touching part. And it's not just them. Some people that believed in what I was doing, and that was that's really the reason why I keep doing it still up until now. I mean, I can do it and stop, but now I just can't stop anymore. So because of Reggie and people like you and like Fides and Sonia and everybody that's been helping us go through this, you know, and we're here in Isabela, and everything is made here in Isabela. Okay, this was in Manila. This was 2 years ago. I was part of a coffee. I was in the coffee industry for a year. So
Oh, you were.
this was a
Okay.
coffee company. Yeah, and this was in Sagada. This is during a coffee planting season. A dear friend of mine, Gene Gutierrez, which is now in California, but he was based in Imus, of the famous, Big Ben's Longanisa. So he gave me quite a bunch. So what I did, I hang it up to dry, and it's right above my wood burning stove, so we can get smoke further. So that's
Nice.
what we serve to our volunteers from Manila who came to plant coffee with us in Sagada. So,
Nice.
oh, this is Nanay Corita. So, Nanay Corita is I never met my grandmother, my mom's mom, in Pandacan, Manila. My mom's from Pandacan, they're from Pandacan. So, uh, legend has it that my grandmother cooked really well. And she was sought after by family members and important members of the community that during fiesta or important events, she was called to make a banquet and to cook food for them. So her helper was Nanay Curita. So when I had an opportunity when I was about 14, 15 years old, I get to stay with her in Manila when I attended college there briefly. And I get to relearn a lot of the things from leche flan for anything that has a suffix of do in the end, mechado, giso, or adobo, any of the specialties in Santo Niño Fiesta in Pandacan. I get to
Nice.
learn from her, and also the elusive binaya basang alimango that you have to actually shake really,
Wow.
really well. Yeah. The sauce is all gone. So, and just the paste of the guava is intact on the shell of the alimango. So there, that's Nanay Curita. This is from the house of Mr. Dado Banatao. I was
Mm.
Dado and Marie Banatao's personal chef for 4 or 5 years in
Wow.
California. And we normally offer, like, whenever they have board meetings or Christmas parties, we'd actually, instead of going out to restaurants, we would actually offer dinner parties at their house. So for a group of 30 or 40, we'd invite, these are all my friends. So Maki next to me, she's an international student from Japan. So I get to, she would let me scream at her for one night. Um, and that's and dear friends, and Kevin and Jeff on the left. Kevin is Vietnamese American, he is Chinese American, and Kilo on the right is Mexican American. And you have Japanese and you have Filipino. So you have a UN going on there for staff. And it's always, and this is President Fidel Ramos came to Intramuras restaurant. This is back in 2007 or 8. I can't recall. But whenever she, actually, this was a launch of his autobiography, I think. It's a book. So he came over at our restaurant, in Tramuras. It was a one of the biggest restaurants in the Bay Area, Filipino restaurant that
Mm-hmm.
offers a little bit of fine dining. So I was chef there the latter part of the restaurant, and I got to meet him. And he said, and you always, I remember him telling that. That's why he was touching my chest. Said, "Hey, Balong," he said, "you always chest out." He said, "You have a tough chest." He said. So he was much and stomach in. That's why I was doing that gesture. It's like I've always had a small stomach. I told him. So, yeah, he wouldn't believe me. That was funny.
That was fun.
Oh, well, this is just a. I worked in Napa Valley for the most part of my career in California, and this is called the French Laundry Christmas book. And every Christmas, Thomas Keller would actually give the employees, just the employees, a certain book published every Christmas. And this is the day of the French Laundry. So I showed this. I think this is very important. Everybody can say that I worked for this chef, I worked for that chef. For me, I wanted to show this not because, not to brag or anything, but I had one of the rarest opportunity to work for Thomas Keller. Um, for all of his restaurants, and this is just a proof that I was there, that I actually worked
Nice.
with him, and
Nice.
this personalized inscription of a special publication, for his employees as a Christmas gift, along with some bonus.
Okay.
Yeah, that's with me. And Harana, this is with Florent Aguilar, a documentary about um,
The
you know,
culture, the
the
Harana
culture
culture.
of Harana. So he went back. Well, Florante, basically the premise of the documentary is that the Florante trained in Manhattan and actually built a career in the U.S. And but he's from Cavite, and he remembers the Harana culture, which is vanishing. So he came home and tracked down three gentlemen who was actually a Haranista back in the days. So unfortunately, we lost all of them already. With it, one of the guys, lost his ear. But they were very fortunate to record some really old music with the masters. And that's how I got involved with Florante and Fides and most of the producers that's actually part of this movie. That's why I'm doing this now, because I did some musical translations for them and also for the languages. Okay, in the middle of nowhere here in Isabela, last year, because there's nothing really to do in Christmas, and also as a side job for not only for me, but we have kids in our neighborhoods that I kind of, you know, that we hang out and we have fun here. We do games, we do feed the kids and all. So I would be making like fruitcakes during Christmas. This was last year, and
Mm.
of course, my mom is a very good keeper of stuff. She has a fridge, upstairs and freezer. So when I need something, I just have to go up there, sneak in her freezer and her stash, and I would find nuts and other goodies that you won't find here in Isabela. Uh, but also, I could order some nuts and all that. And last year we sold about nearly 1,000 cans of fruitcakes.
Wow.
And yeah, and also I have some stash from Glenfiddich. I also have to thank my friend Jay Castañeda, also a personal assistant for Mrs. Andy, Mrs. Governor, and he would actually give me some extra nuts as well. So I have a lot of friends who's been helping out with this endeavor, and this is not just for me. When I do a project here in Sabela, the main driver is not really for my own income. In fact, I get scolded by my parents. Where's your money? Um, I've actually given it away.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah.
This was actually one of the more fun times. I think when you're a retired chef, you get to judge a lot of cooking shows, or cooking contests. And this was with Jam, of course, John
Uh-huh.
Melchor, Chef Jam, and Ige, myself. So you can see a little menage a trois with coconut. So that was a fun event back in Lucena City when we actually judged a cooking contest. And this is the poster for Ilocandia. And as you can see, the ingredients, essential ingredients for pinakbet. So I'm so proud of this movie poster because I never thought in my wildest dreams I would never thought I would be making dreams. I thought it will only remain as a dream, But now, there's no way but going forward at this point. And this is an on-shoot location in Badok, Ilocos Norte.
Patok. Yes.
Yes, this is a resort town, but because there's no one there, it's pandemic. So I had given a notice that hey, I wanted like old, like a cooking vessel. I would appreciate a palayok, instead of the newer wares, the okay style. We wanted to showcase what your
Mhm.
grandmother had. So we had to go house to house to find like palayok and bilaos and everything. So and the seafood came from the shore. So that I was so thrilled about. So what I was doing there, I was just setting up the table and measuring the lights as well. And I was making sure their knife was actually okay and sharp,
Mhm.
so that it would look good when the film's rolling. I mean, there's nothing more um, kind of nakakailang kung makunat yung mo,
Oo.
hinihiwa mo. So it's the little things.
Yeah.
This is the second installment of the Madrid Fusion. Now, these are the chefs who
Oh,
represented Region 4A Calabarzon. And as
nice.
regional director for PTA, the DOT, that's Becky Labit. And she actually organized us. From left, you have the owner of Buddy's restaurant chain,
Uh-huh.
and also Antipolo, the Half Moon Cafe, and
Mhm.
also my buddy, my one of my best friends, Ian Baza of Tio Feli's Cafe, myself,
Mhm.
and right is Wild One. That is, that this really cool group of people, and right next to us is Chef Vic. And also, this is the Makati Food Festival.
Oh, yeah. Makati Food Fest, no,
Yeah.
Nancy?
Next na.
Oo. Okay.
Yan na. I think
Medyo
he
nag
was here.
oo, nag-give up na yung ano niya, internet niya. O, ikaw na, Nancy, magkwento.
Yeah. Okay. I wouldn't know that time, but
Oh,
that is part of
yes.
being a professional chef.
Ayan, yan.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So
Yes.
you know
Okay.
what? A cat just passed by outside the door, and I lost the signal. So this was during a food event in QC, um, and this is the left is actually Chef Glenn Ramakers, based in Belgium, and the Cocoy
Wow.
chef, my kabayan, Peri
Mhm.
Mamaril, also a prolific bamboo artist, and also chef, Chef Mamaril, and myself. So this is back in QC.
Okay.
And this is the Calamansi,
I'm still.
Philippine Calamansi Association during Madrid
Wow.
Fusion. And that's and Tita Malin on the green. And this is where I first met Helen, Tita Helen,
Mhm.
the lady in black next to me, and Arnie, which is far left in brown and blue. Um, so later on, this happened like I met them like after 2 years I came back here. This is the second Lucky Fusion. Oh, I'm sorry, the first. And later on to find out that and Helen Del Rosario and Arnie are actually very good friends with the late Don Otto Escudero. So when they came to the property in Villa Escudero, say, "Hey, Cocoy, what are you doing here?" So that's it, an instant bonding there. And Tita Helen has been very active working with the calamansi farmers here in Isabela, particularly here next to our town. It's called Aurora, where they grow a lot of calamansi. So she's been helping out reorganizing production of calamansi in the area so that it can be exported
Good.
to places.
Very
Yeah.
good.
So yeah, and this was back in California. I did a dinner for the Philippine consulate. Well, I had the honor of being able to cook there quite a bit whenever we had dignitaries or we have like special events or promotional events for the Philippine
Nice.
International Aid headed by Mona Yuchenko. So we would do this auction. I mean, PIA would do an auction as price. They would actually have a private dinner at the residence of the General Consulate in San Francisco. So I would. Oh, and this is my team. Whenever we would film something, I mean, we're always eating, and
Yeah.
and this is and
Ginataan.
this is definitely not one of those items. Yes, and this is we call it pinataro in this
Pinataro.
area. Pinataro is ibanag, and this is in Tuguegarao. That's where they claim that where it originated. Pinataro is ginataang halo-halo or pinatong as
Uh-huh.
well in southern Tagalog.
Nice.
So
Sarap.
when you're
Yeah.
in this part
That's
of the
nice.
country, it's called pinataro. And if you're Ilocano, it's actually something else. And again, this is my crew when we were filming in Cavite, and this is at my friend's hotel, and they also have a brand new coffee shop at the View Park Hotel, and this is Siglo Brew. It's their newly open coffee shop and microbrewery. They also have a restaurant called Bistro,
Nice.
Siglo Bistro, yeah, Siglo Restaurant. So if you're in Tagaytay, make sure. Oh, and of course, this is we all know this lovely couple.
Reggie.
So Ian and
Yeah.
Reggie
Yeah.
Newport. So again, they are one of our major supporters for our projects. So that's why I wanted to include them there. This is another event. When you think of Filipino food, um, in most cases, when we try so hard to present this in a fine dining setup, it's either you go, it's either it goes bad or becomes a little cheap. I mean,
Mhm.
there's no halfway measure. So this was a presentation of the Villa Escudero Pancit Buko. Um,
Mm.
I had no other way because I did not want to offer a very complicated dish. I wanted to
Mhm.
offer something simple and something that is easy to plate and something that does not require. And at Villa Escudero, they do a lot of coconut leaf art. So one of which is the grasshopper that you see there. It looks realistic, huh? Para
Mhm.
siyang grasshopper
Ganda.
talaga,
Oo
no?
nga.
I just added it in there just to remind people that I mean, this place is a place of art and it's a place of resourcefulness. Very quickly, this is what Don Aldo told me about the history of Pansit Puko in Calabarzon, particularly in coconut growing areas. During the war, there were no Mickey, or there's no wheat noodles available because of the ships. It was imported to the Philippines from China. And during the war, World War II, there were no flour that's available. So even though it's war, fiestas and important events are still celebrated, especially fiestas. So for them to be able to kind of mimic the pancit, they would actually use coconut meat strands or the buko
Hmm.
as replacement for the wheat noodles. The coconut
Ah.
meat is not sweet, but rather it offers a very neutral taste. So Whatever
Mm-hmm.
you incorporate, if you're going to incorporate something savory, it will be savory. If you incorporate something sweet, then it will be sweet. So it's quite
Nice.
neutral. So I wanted to present that in that way. And also being in the company of Don Aldo Scudero, one of my biggest mentors and influencers of my life, I also get the honor to meet the like, oh, these are like big personalities. To the left is Madame Santa Maria, one of our greatest pianists alive, a living legend. And
Oh,
next,
yeah.
and you have Mr. Zunico, also a concert pianist
Yeah.
and a
Raul.
music. Oh my God, Raul Zunico. So yeah, I had the pleasure, and yeah, see the resemblance. A lot of people get jealous sometimes. Um, well,
Do
you
you
know,
miss
um,
him?
oh, I do. We had a great time, Ado and I. And I not we shared a lot of common things. I mean, I could see myself in him, and he could see myself in me, and I get scolded all the time because he wanted to do certain things and he wanted to do it very quickly, like this book.
Yeah.
This is the Rio Scudero Coconut Plantation book. Um, he had a book published back in the 70s. It's called the Coconut Cookbook. He wasn't very happy with it because there's some intrigue and all that stuff that happened. So now he told me it's one of his mission for this year. That's actually in 2018, I believe. 2017, I think. And he said that I wanted a book published and I want you to make it. He said, okay, so when do you want this? I want this in November. And I was thinking it was going to be November next year, but it was actually 2 months from where he told me that he wanted it in 2 months. So I locked myself up in the kitchen office at Via Scudero, and I just sat there, and I slept there. They supplied food and drink. I was like a prison. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. And I came up with this book for him. It was such an honor.
You
So
did.
yeah, I mean, we had a blast, and this was the release of the book. It's a release party. Of course, we all know that Ada is very good friends with Patis Tesoro, so she and him came up with a double celebration. It was actually a fashion show and also a book launch with
Yeah.
uh, Club Moi to open the show for him. And you know him,
Yeah.
and you can see all the socialites lining up, with the Romualdes, all the Forbes Park and the Dasma people lining up for him to sign it, and they don't mind standing for a long time, and it was quite a sight. It was so funny, it was quite an experience. We had a blast on that night. So that was the experience in there.
Yeah.
Anton, what,
Nancy.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
Well,
Nancy. Galing.
you,
So
you know,
inspiring.
Kokoy, we're out of words for the things that you have done, the things that you are still in the coming soon. We cannot wait for that. And what I like is that you gave a second life to the career of the videographers, and you made them from plain wedding videographers
Oo.
to artists,
To
to
artist
artists.
talaga. Oo, yes.
Yeah, so you touch their soul, and you touch the soul of Ilocos and the food, and I think that's what you're made of. You're a very soulful person. So you should not stop there. Just continue.
All right. Yes, and we're so inspired by your story. Any final message, Kokoy, to the people, you're
Yeah,
inspiring people to watch?
I just wanted to mention real quick. Um, so in I had interest in film when I worked for the winery of Francis Ford Coppola in um, in the post 9/11. So post 9/11 from New York, I moved to the Bay Area, and I was so lost. I hated the corporate jobs. I was on temp agency. year after year, I had different kinds of jobs. And from insurance to divorce attorney to name it. And then the kitchen has always been my escape. And I had the opportunity. A friend of mine said, "Koi, can you help us out? We had a big party at the winery, and we need some kitchen help." And I started scrubbing. And for that job, I washed a lot of lettuce. The proper way of washing lettuce, which include a lot of water. And also, I scrub like 400 pieces of Kumamoto oysters each event that we had, a big one. So from there, it caught my Francis caught my attention. Later on, after 3 months that I've been working, I didn't know that he was my boss. When he came home to the winery. Hey, we heard we have a Filipino staff here, and he said, "Did you know that I lived in the Philippines?" He said, and that's where he filmed the Apocalypse Now in the 70s. He said,
Yes.
"I lived at the Manila Hotel for 3 years." He said, so.
Yeah.
And then he said, can you do me an adobo?" He said, "Can you make me a chicken adobo?"
Yes.
And he said, "Sure, I'll do it."
Woo!
And since then, I think that the chef started getting so softer to me and took me under his wing. This is Chef McCowan back then, and
We
taught me
get to
the finer ways of cooking, of presenting your food, and most importantly, cleanliness. We stopped our operation in the kitchen if you saw stuff on the floor. Imagine in that kitchen we were working in a carpeted floor, and we had to stop every time that it's dirty. We wanted it clean, everything, no mess on the table. So that was my training in Napa Valley. Yeah.
Did you
Yes,
get to
Nancy.
show? Did you get to show any of your films to Coppola?
Not yet. We lost touch after all these years. We're talking about 15 years ago, I guess. So it was such an opportunity, and through in working there, you get involved with people in the industry as well, firsthand. And I've attended master classes in filmmaking back then. So I already kind of imagined that I wanted to do something with this, but I never thought that it would happen this fast, nor I would
Galing.
switch to a
Okay.
vocation to what I'm doing now. So
All right.
Yeah.
Maraming salamat. It's
Yeah.
awesome to
thank
meet
you.
you. And I know a lot of people will be watching this in replay. And we're so excited about your film this coming 2022. There's a lot
Wow,
documentary.
we have three
So
coming up
exciting.
soon. So
Yeah.
thank you. And
All
also we
right.
have like a little snippets of Tawid Timyanan, the little food productions that I have in my Facebook page.
All
Actually,
right.
Ige has the last word. He said, "I
Uh,
just hope people will watch the replay. So many lovely stories. Congratulations, Kokoy. Keep up the good work. Keep well, everyone." I think we all have the same words for you,
Thank you.
Kokoy. You inspire us, both
yes.
as you as a person and your films.
And your films. All
Well,
right.
thank you so much.
Maraming salamat. Thank you so much. Thank you again. Thank you for those watching on the replay. Please like and share this video to your family and friends. And we're watching your next move, your next films. Kohei, thank you for the inspiration.
Thank you.
As
Thank
we
you
would
for
always say,
having me.
yes.
Be safe,
And
everyone. Thank you.
be
I'm a
safe,
fan.
everyone.
I'm a fan.
Live an awesome
Uh,
life, guys. God
thank
bless.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Can you do a short film?